Am I the a-hole for making my sister-in-law drive 5 hours home to drop off her so-called service dog? With the upcoming holiday weekend, my wife's family decided to take a new approach after being stuck in traffic every year. Seeing as my wife and I live in the largest house with the most bedrooms, they would visit us again, but they'd take a couple of extra days off to come early and beat the traffic. Over the next couple of days, we're going to have about 20 people arriving at various times to enjoy the barbecue, fireworks, and alcohol. Now, my sister-in-law is a huge dog lover. She takes her dog everywhere. She got a fake service dog jacket for the dog so she could take it into restaurants, shopping malls, and other places that don't allow dogs. On the other hand, I detest dogs. I don't want them near me, and even less in my house. Before my sister-in-law came, I was extremely clear: no dog. Get a dog sitter. Put a bowl of food and water on the floor and play Homeward Bound on repeat. I don't care what you do, but do not bring your dog to my house. I especially hate her big dumb dog because it's poorly trained, needs around-the-clock attention, and refuses to leave me alone. It's the obnoxious type of dog that will jump onto the table to literally steal the food from your hand. A couple of hours ago at about 7 p.m., SIL rolled up, opened the passenger side door to her SUV, which she bought solely to give more space to her dog, and outran old Lassie, ready to run and piss and shit all over the place. She actually had the audacity to play it off as ignorance despite my multiple text messages to her saying not to bring her dog. When I told her she couldn't bring her dog inside, she apologetically smiled and said sorry, sitter cancelled. There was no sitter. I just said no. The dog can stay in the car. My sister-in-law then tried to play off the service dog sob story about how she needs an emotional support animal, to which I responded she should actually get a real service dog. Then she started debating about how the dog would have a panic attack in the car. Yeah, nothing quite screams service animal like will flip out if left alone for 2 minutes. My wife, who has spent the last 23 years of her life enabling her sister, agreed that they could stay just one night. Everyone else was agreeing and my sister-in-law brightened up at this idea, but I know her personality enough to know she's going to turn one night into I'll do it after breakfast, and that into oops, had a glass of wine, can't drive now. I put my foot down and said no. My sister-in-law left for a night drive back home so she could figure out the dog situation, and everyone is mad at me. They called me a monster for making a young woman drive home 5 hours in the middle of the night, and I said she wasn't alone because she had her service dog. That made them even angrier. Now I'm alone in my den, people are furious at me, and I wonder if I'm just being an asshole. Am I the a-hole for serving everyone, including a toddler, leftovers except for my daughter? My husband and I have a 13-year-old daughter, who's an incredible athlete. She herself loves her sport, so my husband and I support her in every way we can, including making sure she's getting proper nutrition by preparing special meals just for her at every meal to keep her up and running, especially in the days leading up to a meet, and she has a meet starting tomorrow. I prepare most of her weekday lunches and dinners during the weekend and then freeze them. My husband and I will just typically eat whatever on weekdays, like leftovers, or we make something quick and simple because we both work. We don't eat the same things as our daughter because many of the ingredients in her meals are organic and more expensive. My brother, who is married and has a 2-year-old son, frequently pops up at our house on the weekends with his wife and son, often staying for lunch or dinner or even both. That's okay with me cooking-wise because I have time during the weekend to cook nice things. Today he texted me saying he was coming over for dinner, friendly reminder today is Thursday, and I told him my husband and I were just eating leftover dinner rolls and throwing together a salad. He himself said whatever, he didn't care, they weren't picky, it's okay. He knows that I make separate meals for my daughter. So it's dinner time. My daughter's meal is a healthy, modified Alfredo, homemade sauce replacing cream with organic almond milk, homemade fettuccine, piled with broccoli, mushrooms, and lean chicken. I've brought out the leftover dinner rolls and salad for the rest of us. The first thing my brother asks is where's everyone else's Alfredo? Then my nephew starts screaming wanting noodles, and SIL demands I give him part of my daughter's meal, which I refuse. Sister-in-law yells at me because her son is growing, needs proper nutrition, and she insists on glorifying my daughter and putting her on a pedestal. My brother adds that he'd never marry someone who provided such poor meals and that my husband could do so much better than me. My husband says at least his wife doesn't yell at the host when she's a guest. I tell my daughter to go to her room because everyone is screaming. It ended with my husband and I physically pushing them out of her home. I later get a call from my mom yelling I'm a horrible sister and she didn't raise me this way. I feel a bit bad because I could have made a decent dinner and avoided all of this. My brother and I got along well before this. Am I the a-hole for serving everyone except my daughter leftovers? And then yelling at my brother and sister-in-law? And then dragging them out of the house? Am I the a-hole for being a controlling gatekeeper on a vacation home I did not originally purchase? Some background first. I, 31 female, married my husband, Chris, 35 male, almost 3 years ago after dating for just under 2 years. We both have good jobs, and when I met Chris, he already owned a home and a second home in a resort community. I also owned a home. When we moved in together, we sold my home and used the money from the sale to do some work on both of his homes, and at that time, we put both homes in both our names. The issue is the vacation home. Before it was redone, it was not the nicest place, but he would let his friends and family use it whenever they wanted. He also allowed my friends and family to use it when we started dating. I know they asked, he offered. Oftentimes, his family and few friends would leave the place in complete shambles. He didn't seem too bothered by it and would just clean up / fix anything that was broken when he used it. I pointed out how disrespectful it was of these people to trash their family / friends' home, and after some time, he spoke to the offending parties, but nothing seemed to improve. When we decided to combine finances and redo the two homes, I told my husband that I really did not want to sink a ton of money into a property that he allowed his family and friends to destroy. He understood my point of view, since I would now have money invested in the property, and respected that I would not be comfortable with certain guests using the property anymore. After we got married, we got to work on our main home. We renovated the bathrooms, kitchen, and bought all new furniture. We had a get-together, pre-C, at our newly renovated home and shared that we planned to start working on the second home soon. A few guests made a couple of comments about not having too many fancy items as they could get broken. I stated that I was not too concerned about it. Fast forward to this past spring and the completion of the work: new bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, drywall in some rooms, and new furniture, and we got a few requests to use the home this summer. I have said no to 3 out of the 6 requests we have gotten. All the no's were Chris's fanf, 1 yes was his side and 2 were mine. His brother, Tyler, 26 male, is very angry as he was always allowed to use the home. I stated that I did not trust them in our new home after all the damage that had been done before. He says I am controlling and gatekeeping his brother's house that he had unrestricted access to in the past. I told him that it is now our house and the rules have changed. My mother-in-law and father-in-law have offered to give us a security deposit, and I rejected their offer as $500 may not cover the amount of damage he could do. His family's perspective is we should not have done all this work so we wouldn't feel we had to limit access, and I might be TA because we knew by doing the work we would not be granting access to certain people and failed to mention it until now. So am I the a-hole?